welcome back to Jake and Dana's Faves. You're going to hit me in the head if you're not careful. This week, everybody, we are talking about our favorite high school memory. For us, that's not that long ago. For some. For me, it's about 7 years. For her, it's about 5
years ago I graduated.
So I'm trying to think of some. I have
a lot of band ones I have.
Actually, I have a lot of band ones too, and actually the first one that I had was from the band, and it was before you were in the band. It was my sophomore year, and we were getting ready to leave for the football game. It was pouring rain.
Oh, man.
It was pouring rain. We were playing one of the other Allentown high schools at the Allentown Stadium. We shared the stadium because I went to Catholic high school. We shared the stadium with the other two other high schools that were in Allentown. So we were playing one of them. And our band director was adamant that the rain was going to stop when the game started.
Yeah.
Well, we arrived there and it's still like pouring.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't let up.
Mm-hmm.
We had no clue. Like our mom was on the band. Both our parents were. Yeah, Dad drove the truck and whatnot. But they were both on the band
parents.
Both our parents or any other parents could think like, what radar is he looking at? This rain is not stopping. So we get there, and for those of you that don't know a lot about band instrumentation, woodwinds, flutes, clarinets, saxophones, you don't want to take those out in the rain. They can be destroyed. Brass, trumpets, trombones, horns, those are okay, but you still need to be careful. So what ended up happening was none of the woodwind players got their instruments out. All of the brass players got their instruments out from both bands. Both bands marched on the field in the pouring rain. I mean, our rain jackets on, we had our full uniform on and everything under the rain jacket. And the brass players played the national anthem. We marched off and we all left.
Oh my gosh.
I remember standing there at attention with my band helmet Shaco thing on and just watching the rain fall off of the brim. So like, I can't believe this is happening right now. I'm gonna remember this forever. And now I will.
Well, you know what? I have a similar story about band with the rain as well. My senior year.
So after I left.
That was a year that we were small and we had of electronic equipment with us for our field show. We were going to Northampton High School for this, so we were away. We were kind of like not exactly sure what the weather was going to be like. We thought the rain was going to hold off for a little bit. We get there, the national anthem is played, and I kid you not.
Oh boy.
As soon as the ball kicked off, it was a downpour. So then you have all the band kids and the band parents scrambling to put up a tent that someone bought, store all the electronic equipment underneath the tent along with the woodwinds and the brass. And I just remember this picture, 15 people crowded underneath this tiny little tent with all this electronic equipment, making sure no one gets wet. And then out in the rain, this was a warm rain by the way, so it was really, really nice and refreshing. We were out in the rain with the giant bass drums just banging away. And what's really fun about that is when they get covered with a film of water, when you hit it, it creates this awesome like splash effect.
There's some cool pictures of this actually. Can you maybe get me some of those?
Well,
I'm gonna look through. So hopefully right now you are all currently looking at some of the pictures of these things happening. So I hope that you're seeing that right now.
I think it was after the first quarter, they told us that we could leave. So we packed up everything. And when we got on I remember getting on that bus, sitting in the bag, and my feet were swimming. I got back to Central and I had to take my shoes off because my shoes were completely soaked. My socks were completely soaked. I had to wring them each and every one out. I was just...
It's like you took a shower.
It was like I took a shower. Yep, I took a shower in my clothing.
Keeping on the band memory track, you might remember this. I think it was my senior year. The first
sophomore year for me.
Yeah, the first time that we went, that our football team managed to make it
past the regular season.
The regular season, yeah. My senior year, they finally weren't able to get a little bit past. But the band had this massive platform. It was made of wood. It was on wheels, and it was used to carry like percussion equipment and whatnot. Well, we were going to like a playoff game. This was like an hour north of Harrisburg.
Oh my gosh.
And Harrisburg is already like an hour 45 minutes from Allentown. We tried to get this platform. We took this platform up and we rented we didn't rent. We were taking like a charter bus. We got the platform up and we're trying to see if it's gonna fit underneath where the baggage area of this. We get it inside. I'm completely underneath this bus and it doesn't clear by what, like half an inch?
Like half an inch.
It was
yeah.
like a half an inch.
Oh my god.
And we couldn't fit the platform. I'm underneath this bus trying to pull the platform in as best I can, but there was like that much of an overhang that we couldn't close the door. And we're like, well, now we gotta take this back down.
But wait, that was also the year that we got lost.
That was also the year that we got lost. On the way back, we ended up not getting back to the school till like 1 o'clock in the morning because the bus driver got lost in a city up there somewhere, and we're driving around all these side streets trying to find our way back to the interstate.
I just remember seeing Christmas lights on every side.
That's
and
right.
we're like, where the heck are we?
That's right, because it was like early December.
And we were, I think we were the first ones to get there. Two fan buses?
There was 2 fan buses, and somehow they got stuck behind an accident. And I remember the team was just about to kick off, and all of our fans came running in.
With the cheerleaders.
That's right.
Yep, the cheerleaders also got
all the fans came running in just as they were about to kick off to start the game.
I remember that. I know of another one.
I'm trying to think of another one. It's hard for us because, you know, we were in band and most of our memories from high school are in band.
I have one from the musical. Yeah.
Do I have any from musical?
This was the fall play that we did. Romeo and Juliet.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm gonna think of one.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I was not very calm as I am now. I was still kind of...
She was very out there.
I was very in your face. A lot, like in your face, very annoying. There was a time during Romeo and Juliet practice. One of the guys, he had this ball, and he was just kind of like throwing it around with some of his other guy friends. Just like having fun because he was bored, a little bit of play practice. He started like throwing the ball at the girls, some of the girls, like pretendingly trying to hit them or something. Just like being
a guy.
Being a guy, yeah. I kind of took it like, oh, I'm going to steal this ball from this guy since he is terrorizing the girls with this, and I will keep it to myself for the rest of the night. I kept this ball on myself, on my person, for the next 2 to 3 hours of play practice. And during that whole entire time, these guys chased me around the school. They cornered me down in the play director's room with one guy at one door, another guy at the other door, and another one at the other door. And they were like, okay, just calm down, Dana. It's gonna be okay. Just give us the ball back. And here I am, like, okay, I'm gonna try to find a way out of this and sneak out. So I'm all like being stealthy, guys.
Run a stealth check.
And then I took a moment of opportunity underneath one of the taller man's arms to sneak out the door into the alleyway where the school was. And then it kind of just windowed out from there. So it was like a very... I don't even know how to describe it.
I don't want to know how to describe that specifically because I have to edit that down a lot.
It was a very strange memory for me because that was a time where I don't know. I was weird in high school.
I think we were all weird in high school, and I think if you're watching this and in high school, you will say that in due time.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to be our age. We all have a different perspective in high school.
Definitely.
Because we're all growing up. When you get into high school, most people come into high school with one mindset, but they leave with a completely different mindset than they did when they got there. And that's just what we call growing up. And it's an extremely good thing. Because if we stayed the same, good lord, that would not be good.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. You get a slap of maturity in the face, too. A lot.
Smack. Ow.
Now what's your
I'm trying to think if I have any others. I don't really have any others that are outside of band. This one isn't really outside of band, but do you remember the one time, I can't remember if it was senior year or not, during the Christmas concert in front of the school, we were doing that jazzed up version of Do You Hear What I Hear?
Yes.
And during my solo, everyone started clapping.
Yes, I do.
On the offbeats. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
I remember when that happened. I was like,
I was very annoyed by that.
Oh my gosh, I just remembered.
You just remembered.
Were you there? Viking Fest?
Which
Jazz?
one?
when I
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
this is the
explain it.
last one.
Go
but
explain it.
This is still a band one. I don't know how I couldn't remember this until right now.
If
So
it's the one I'm thinking of.
every year, our high school has this fundraiser called Viking Fest. Our mascot is a Viking, so they call it Viking Fest. It's usually in the springtime. And when we were there, typically they would have the band students play music as just like entertainment music. It wasn't really anything
Yeah.
too big.
It was mostly the jazz, too.
It was jazz, some chamber groups, a little bit of concert band stuff, but it was most of the chamber groups. But the jazz ensemble would play last, and we would usually have the longest set. Or so one time, I think this might have been my junior year, I was on tenor saxophone, and we were playing a song called Tenor Madness, written by Sonny Rollins, who's a tenor saxophone player. We play through the melody, and then it gets to the solo section, so it's my turn to go play a solo. So I step on, now let me phrase this again. We're in the bleachers of the gymnasium, okay? So it's already not a great setup. So I step up on top of a bleacher to go to the solo mic, and somehow, I don't know how this happened, but I just fell.
Yeah.
And I fell on my back, and I slid down about 4 or 5 rows, and I'm holding the tenor because it was the school's horn, it was not my horn. So I'm like, I can't break this, this is the good horn. So I'm falling on my back down the bleachers, and I'm like, I didn't even know what happened because I didn't even realize I was falling until I was on the bleachers. And the principal was like right there, and she's like, are you okay? And I didn't really miss a beat. I stood right up and I just took the solo like nothing even happened.
I thought you were gonna tell a different story
Okay.
from Viking Fest.
I don't know a different story from Viking Fest.
The one with the lady.
That
the
happened
microphone?
that night.
That was the same night?
That was the same night. Story for a different time. But long story short, I found out that Sonny Rollins actually did something similar to
Oh,
what
you
I
didn't
did.
tell me that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I found out he was actually performing an outdoor event, and he fell off a stage.
Oh.
And actually broke his leg. But as he was, like, he fell off, broke his leg, but he was
He
soloing.
kept playing.
He kept playing. He picked up his horn while he's lying there with a broken leg and kept playing.
Oh my god. Musicians are hardcore.
Oh, you know it. But I saved the horn.
You did. I have one more.
I
Just
thi-
one more.
I think we need to cut it off.
But it's with Barry Sax.
I think we need to cut it off.
It's the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
I don't know this one.
We perform at a St. Patrick's Day Parade usually every year. And this was my junior year.
Okay,
I was
so
playing
I was
Barry
going.
Sax. Bigger than the tenor sax.
Here's a picture of a Barry Sax.
It's probably about as big, it's a little bit smaller than me. We were marching and we had to keep our eyes ahead. We have to keep playing no matter what happens. There's always this one section at the St. Patrick's Day Parade where there's a lot of people who
Are really, really happy.
Okay. One of them decides to come up next to me,
Oh, I think I remember.
mumbling something. I have no idea what he was mumbling, with a drink in his hand.
Oh dear.
And it's not very firmly gripped in his hand. He kind of like has it by the rim on the bottom of the bottle, and it's kind of tipped in a way where it could spill into the bell of my Barry Sax. I had to keep playing. Like, I'd say maybe like 1,000 feet. This guy was following me, and I had to keep playing, marching forward, while also simultaneously trying to move the Barry Sax bell away from him so he doesn't spill his drink inside of it. And then, thank God, one of the parents comes by to shush him off after that.
I think I had heard about that.
Yeah,
I
that
think
was-
Mom or someone told me that.
That was an interesting time.
Well, obviously we have more high school memories than we thought. They're all about being in band, but they're
Being
still
band
memories
musicals.
nonetheless. So I should have mentioned I was the weatherman.
Oh yeah, you were the
I was the
weatherman.
weatherman in high
weatherman
school.
right here
Yeah,
on
my
our
junior-
broadcasting
My
channel.
junior and senior year, I was the weatherman. They came to me and looked for weather, so I have that credit. There were people who knew me and I didn't know them. It's kind of weird. So,
Yep.
but I think this video is probably long enough. This is probably like the longest one yet.
Too many memories.
Too many memories. Oh, what's it gonna be like when we get to the college memory one?
Oh God, don't.
Well,
Oh.
anyway, until then, whatever our next episode. What is next week anyway? Let me check. Trusty computer right here. Next week we will be talking about favorite band piece
Hey.
that we played. Favorite band piece.
Oh.
In high school and college.
Okay, got it.
That might be a little bit of a longer video as well. considering I majored in music and therefore was in so many ensembles and have played so many music, including an arranged version of the Star Wars theme.
You didn't tell me about that.
And whatnot. Yeah, I keep forgetting that I did that. There's actually a story that goes with that too.
Oh, I'm excited
Or
to
just
hear that.
that night.
I'm excited to hear that.
So, but that will be next week. And until then, we will see you then next week. Take care and God bless.